We're here with Andy Xie. And Andy, would you like to comment on your views of the China recovery? There's been a lot of discussion about what shape the recovery will take, whether it's a V-shaped recovery, U-shaped. What's your perspective on that?
I think that we had a quick bounce in the second quarter, and now it looks like it's cooling off. It's in the fourth quarter we're going to see maybe a substantial slowdown. And I don't know how we are going to have strong growth next year. I think that maybe the government will try to implement another stimulus in the second quarter of next year. But I think that we might be entering a second dip in the fourth quarter.
Okay. You mentioned the stimulus. The stimulus has been much written about in the press. Is your perspective that that's the right track for the government to be taking in terms of getting the economy back on track?
I think that the stimulus has worked for the economy, but it probably would not be lasting, partly due to how the stimulus was done. I think that the government part, we saw quite a bit of money into railroads and highways. Probably in the long run, useful investments. A lot of money went into property, into stock market speculation. China had this bubble problem before, so this wave of stimulus probably exaggerated the problem. So it's possible that the stimulus is leaving with us a big problem down the road. So we need to be careful about it.
Okay. The stock markets seem to have recovered quite nicely in the Chinese markets in Shanghai as well as in the U.S. Up anywhere from 50 to 80%, whether you depending on which markets you look at. Is your views that the markets are a bit ahead of themselves, or are they properly priced? What's your perspective there?
Yeah, I think that this is a bear market bounce. It's basically we are in an adjustment period. The global growth model needs to be adjusted from the previous model. The previous model was the U.S. Consumption driven by debt, Chinese economy driven by investment and exports. I think that we need to have much more balanced global growth model, and that takes time. What we're seeing now is liquidity being created by the central banks, leading to another wave of asset speculation and some demand effect. But that's not lasting. I think technically the Chinese market peaked in August because Chinese economy bounced in the second quarter. The U.S. economy is bouncing in the third quarter. So the U.S. the market may be peaking in September or October. Afterwards, we're going to have a cooling off period. The global economy will not be on a sustainable, strong growth path. So there are no reasons for corporate earnings to be strong. And the valuation right now is very high, even for a normal economy. The U.S., based on consensus forecast, is 15 or 16 times earnings. I think that the earnings could be coming much lower than expected. So it could be 17, 18 times, and it's high even by normal standard. And in Chinese markets, when it peaked on August the 4th, over about 1/5 of the stocks were trading at over 100 times earnings. So it's obviously in a pretty depressing global economy, this kind of variation could not last. It's a consequence of a liquidity bubble. So this is why I think that it's possible in the fourth quarter or the first quarter of next year we see a significant pop.
Okay. You mentioned the need for a more balanced economy in terms of the growth. What's your view on how long that will take for the Chinese economy to evolve into that sort of structural change?
Well, I think that structural reforms usually take a long time, but China is in an unusual position to really get it going quickly. The government owns most of the shares of the listed companies, like the banks or telecom companies or energy companies. 2/3 of the shares are owned by the government. if the government is willing to give these shares to the population, it will be a huge amount of wealth redistribution. That will lay the foundation for a prolonged consumption boom. I think that the consumption could immediately go up by like 5% if the government does that. And so the Chinese government has many chips to play if they really want to undertake structural reforms. So even though normally structural reform takes time, I think in the case of China, it's really a matter of determination. If the government is willing, it can happen quickly.